For you, the full moon in Tauro brings the chance to make new connections and new ways of responding to situations that no longer have you connected to certain fears you were holding on to. At the new moon in Scorpio, you had to let go of certain narratives, institutions, and structures that you really held onto as part of your identity and as part of your narrative for self. And so a lot of these things can look like fears that you defend yourself against and risks that you are too afraid to take and try to push back away from your life. And here at that new moon in Scorpio and full moon in Tauro lunar cycle, you need to let go of certain fears that you're holding onto and certain defense mechanisms that you're using to keep yourself safe. If you're able to do that, then you can actually invite a new way of connecting to yourself and to others that is less fear-based and less defensive and a little more honest about where you're actually out and what your intentions are. So look this week to new connections you can make and new ways that you can grow in intimacy with others that comes from a sense of being vulnerable and allowing yourself to open up versus defending yourself from certain risks. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Tauro. For the Scorpio new moon that happened at the end of last month, there were a few relationship struggles coming up for you. In particular, certain connections were showing signs of strain and needed to be reworked. And so if you noticed and paid attention over the last few weeks, what really needed to be reworked is your own expectations for other people in your life. You have a lot of commitment and a lot of certitude about how you run your life, and you kind of expect others to do the same. Why would they take different choices than you? You've obviously got this worked out, so why don't they just follow your particular line of reasoning? And if you paid attention, especially during the new moon in Scorpio, you'll notice that people are individuals and they want to be able to do their own thing. Even if they're making a mistake, you have to allow for people in your life to run their own course, to follow their own path, and you have to love them just the same, even if they do things that you disagree with. If you're able to have this kind of flexibility and openness, you will move into another level of connecting and intimacy with the people in your life. Because as you learn to trust every single individual expression, other people in your life learn to trust you. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Géminis. Welcome to the full moon in Tauro during our Mercury in retrograde, which means that we have had to slow down the pace. And you have to tune in to the power of Taurus, which is slow, methodical, with intention, instead of quick, impulsive thinking and wit. Especially during this Mercury retrograde, which started on Halloween, you have had to slow down the pace. And instead of pushing yourself towards finding certain solutions or being really quick with your imagination and creativity, you have to allow for it to blossom through you and realize that you're actually a conduit for inspiration and a conduit for creativity instead of the source of it. And what that means is, instead of pushing yourself in order to create and come up with new ideas and continue to go down your path, you've got to sit with patience and allow things to rise up from you naturally. As long as you take care of yourself, you take care of your energy, and you recognize that you are a vessel for creative output, then you allow things to blossom through you at the right time and with the right pace instead of pushing yourself. If you're able to do that, then this full moon in Tauro will bring to you a very positive and energetic connection for you to continue down your path. One that is more respectful of your own time and your own energy, and one that allows for things to move through you with ease. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Cáncer. Welcome to the full moon in Tauro, where hopefully you've done the work at the new moon in Scorpio to build up your sense of self-worth and to build up your sense of trust in yourself. Because a lot of the issues that are coming up for you in relationships, whether that is professional, romantic, or creative, has a lot to do with your own doubts about yourself. And so this fear about not being good enough, not being present enough, not offering enough in every single connection translates into a lot of defense mechanisms and a lot of patterns around safety that crawl up into your relationships and kind of diffuse them with this wall between you and the other person you're trying to connect to. Whether that is literally your own creative output or whether that is a romantic connection that you're trying to make, the feeling is the same. There's like a blockage, and it's actually coming from your own fears manifesting as a need for certain defensive patterns in order to make sure that you are able to secure that connection, even if you yourself feel like you're not worthy of it. So moving through this fear can allow for some new opportunities to move forward. As you can center yourself with more grounding and more trust, you are able to be recognized for your work and be able to be appreciated for your work. And if you've done this, then this full moon in Tauro will bring to you the opportunity to be recognized for some creative output or recognized for the work that you've been doing internally, and really enjoy a new sense of appreciation and reciprocity this week. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Leo. With the full moon in Tauro this week, we find the resolution that we've been waiting for. You are working through a lot of emotional patterns deeply held in here that are about loss, about grief, and about certain connections that have been lost that feel really important and like you could never let them go, but they still no longer exist in the present moment. And in rooting yourself with the connections that you have in this present time and working through your own self-healing with the people who are present with you, you can move through and find resolution. Because a lot of the issues that are coming up right now are about self-blame, self-critique, and really blaming yourself for some of these connections that honestly just no longer worked. It doesn't matter if someone made a mistake or if you made an error that caused that relationship to end. When you are trying really hard to bring something back that no longer exists, and when you're blaming yourself for something that's no longer there, the only thing you're doing is trying to say, you know what? I know better than the reality that's happening in this moment. And I don't accept this reality, and instead I'm inserting my own ideas about what this reality should be into the past. And getting caught up in that kind of narrative is going to have you stuck in certain emotional patterns until you can accept where you're at. And so for this full moon in Tauro, lean into the connections that are present in this moment and allow those connections to surface for yourself now. Some self-love, some self-appreciation, and some deep gratitude for the connections that you have present in your life right now. If you can appreciate where you are at in this moment and the people in your life who support you, then you no longer need to hold on to these ideas about the past, about who you've been, and about the mistakes that have been made. You can now find resolution by appreciating the present. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Virgo. This full moon in Tauro and this lunar cycle is all about you learning about yourself on a deeper level. Of course, this is the same for all of us, but for you in particular, this means admitting when you need help. Virgo, you do have a tendency, as all Virgos in my life do, to really feel like they can move forward without the help of anyone else. You're more in the role of like helping other people out than of admitting when you yourself need some support. But in this moment, and this full moon in Tauro is all about you opening yourself up to being guided, to accepting the reflection from someone else in your life, accepting the read that someone else has on your particular life, and accepting that someone else might have some guidance for you that is really necessary for you now to break out of some of the patterns that you're really bored with. So this full moon in Tauro is a really good opportunity for you. If you can admit in the places where you need help, you can call in some new resources. Resources very particularly in the form of, say, a new therapist, a new teacher, a new workshop, or a new guide, a new practice that'll really bring into you some revolution and some renovation of your life practice. Because right now we need some help. And you need to realize that you are connected to other people in your life. You are connected to your community. You are intimately connected with the people in your life that you share on an intimate level. And so if you are struggling with certain things in your life, stop trying to battle them on your own and reach out to others. Tap into these connective networks of human experience and be able to allow someone else's experience to inform your next steps. This will be absolutely inspiring to you and will really move you in a new direction. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Libra. This lunar cycle, the Tauro-Scorpio cycle that we're in right now, is about defining self-worth and making sure that others in your life recognize that work. So at the beginning of this cycle, at the new moon in Scorpio, you had the opportunity to initiate some new contracts or some new business deals that can really bring forward some more appreciation for your creative practice or for your output in the world. And maybe even for some romantic connections if you're in line for that sort of thing, which you usually are because you're a Libra. So what you need to keep in mind now that we have the full moon coming, the culmination of this particular lunation cycle, is that you need to define for yourself what you're worth and make sure that other people in your life appreciate that worth. The only person that you have to blame for accepting something less than what you know you're worth is yourself. Now is the time to really define for yourself who you are, what you're looking for, and what you're willing to accept for your energetic output. If you've done this work correctly, then you actually have the opportunity this week to initiate another new contract, another new agreement, or maybe even a new relationship opportunity on November 13th when you meet somebody new in your place of work. This could be your workplace, this could be a social event, or this could be someone that is creatively in tune with your work and who can really help you collaborate now. So look forward to that. And as long as you are clear in which way you want to drive this particular vehicle, there will be somebody there who can help you. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Scorpio. Welcome to the full moon in Tauro, the culmination of the new moon in Scorpio that, of course, was very powerful for your sign. And so this is a time where we're working on your integrity with yourself. You expect a lot of honesty and a lot of fierce truth from people in your life, but you do not necessarily offer the same. And even though you are very keen on picking up on small little details about other people's lives, you are less keen about looking at yourself. And now is the time to do so. Last week, we were struggling with some misunderstandings that are showing up in your relationships with others. And the way to really correct that is to stand in integrity with yourself. You need to have that same fierce look at the details with your own self that you project onto others. And so for this full moon in Tauro, really commit to looking deeply into your own motivations and understanding your own self so that you can offer that same level of fierce honesty that you're expecting from those around you. If you're able to do that this week, then this full moon in Tauro will bring to you newer and deeper levels of intimacy with the people in your life that you really care about, especially your partner, your dates, your boo, and maybe a collaboration or two. What's really needed right now is for you to be able to be honest with yourself about what you're struggling with and what you're moving through, and be able to bring that level of honesty to your work. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Sagittarius. This full moon in Tauro is a chance for you to reconcile some of the anxiety you have about your own future in resolving to commit to your own grounding and your team. This is a chance for you to recognize that you need a group support, you need a team, you need kin, you need family in order to move forward with strength and integrity of character. And so in this moment, Sagittario, you are not that adventurer, the traveler, the loner. You are the inspiration for your friend group. You're the driver for your family. You are the great connecting force between lots of various groups of people. And so tap into the strength that you have to connect with people around you instead of the strength that you have to run away. Because in this moment, you're not going to be able to run away from your anxieties by planning a trip or just moving into a new location. What you need to do instead is recognize that you need a core group of people that has your back and that you trust. This could be blood family if that's who you're intimately connected to, but a lot of times this can actually be chosen family. The people that you recognize as your siblings, your kin, and who you really trust with your time and energy. So by the end of the week, when you have to resolve this contract or opportunity, even though it's a Mercury retrograde, you're gonna have to make a choice. And in that moment, around the 13th, when you have to make a decision, who are you gonna call? Who are the people who you talk to so intimately and on such a regular basis that you trust their read on things? This is who you lean into now, and this is who you bring up as your circle of trust and knowledge that you're going to be able to move forward just fine in any direction because you've got people who have your back. Tap into that now. Con mucho, mucho amor. Capricornio. This full moon in Tauro brings you a chance to reconnect with your imagination, your creativity, and your romantic side, especially after all these weeks of renewing and reviewing your connection to yourself, specifically self-critique, self-doubt, and self-fear around whether you can show up as your full self or whether you have to put yourself into special little boxes depending on the situation. Now is the time when you can realize that you can be as big and as grandiose as you are in every single occasion, as long as you have some friends by your side. You do a lot better when you are connected to folks in your life, and this full moon in Tauro is a chance to really enjoy those connections through some kind of social event, practice, or communion, literally. Not like Catholic communion, which is like the first thing I think of, but really just like coming together with your community and recognizing the strength that you have and the vibrancy that you bring when you are allowing yourself to be creative and fun instead of focusing on your worth or what you can bring to the table. So in this moment, allow yourself to be playful and make sure that you spend this full moon with people who care about you and who really support your creativity and your younger self. The people who can make you feel safe enough to have that inner child come out and that joyous laughter spring from you. Those are the people you want to share this week with. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Aquario. Be careful this week, as the full moon in Tauro brings for you some doubts about certain plans that you are setting forward now. And so last week we were talking about renegotiating some plans at work, and this week you're gonna be having some doubts about some relationship commitments you've made. You might need to reassess some situations that you have committed to, especially if a certain connection that you've been investing a lot of time and energy into now feels very draining, and like the expectations they have on you are never going to be fulfilled. If you're feeling really disenfranchised and really disheartened by their expectations, take a step back. Focus on your connections to your family and to your root, to your home, to your ancestry, and remember who you are in this moment. Because whether or not somebody in your life approves of how much energy you're giving, how much attention you're giving, or how much creative output you have in your life is not a definition of your self-worth. The only person who can define your self-worth is yourself. And so in this moment, make sure that you are grounded in your root connections with home and with family. And when you have doubts about this particular commitment or relationship or future plan, check in with someone you really care about. This can again be blood family or chosen family, but somebody whose voice you trust. Talk to them about this overwhelming feeling of expectation you have, and make sure that you are keeping these relationships in check. Good luck. Con mucho, mucho amor. Pisces. You need to also be careful this week, Pisces, because the full moon in Tauro brings to you many opportunities for growth. And it's up to you to discern which one you have the capacity for and which ones are too overwhelming for you right now. And so make sure in this moment that you define your energetic capacity, the amount of resources available to you, both energetic, emotional, and psychic. Because if you sign up for certain commitments that actually prove too draining for you, then there's a high chance that you're going implode from the stress in the next few weeks. Not to scare you, but just to let you know that in this moment, define yourself by what you're available for and what your capacity is, not just for what your ambitions are. Because the full moon in Tauro brings a lot of opportunities and the need for definition. Take care. Con mucho, mucho.